Well, hey there, youngsters. Folks around these parts call me Old Man Car Gauge, and this here's my trusty 12-gauge shotgun. Exceedingly painful. Exceedingly painful when we were just about to cook an old shoe for supper. Why don't you pull up a stool and lick away the hours with us? Even with today's fancy pop culture references and interweb memes, I still get questions from the neighborhood rowdies when they're not kicking an old piece of rope about. Usually their questions are about guns, specifically, what different kinds of guns are there? Now, I could make the rudiest, tootiest list of firearms that you ever did saw, but I think some old-timey film clips would suit your more modern lifestyle better. Oh, I reckon that the first practical firearms appeared around the 1400s of old Europe. Back then, guns used a mechanism called a matchlock to fire its rounds. It consisted of a burning slow match and a clap at the end of a small curved lever and a flash pin. A soldier during those times would have a horn of gunpowder ready to fill the flash pin. This was what gave the matchlock its firepower. The soldier would then pour more powder and ram a metal ball into the end of the barrel and place the slow burning match at the end of the clamp. Now he waits for the order to fire. Upon the pulling of a trigger connected to the lever, the clamp dropped down, lowering the smoldering match onto the flash pan, igniting the priming powder, firing that sucker at unsuspecting redcoats. A few centuries later, around the old 1700s, a new kind of firing mechanism was invented called the flintlock. It fired a lot like the matchlock. We used a piece of flint and a steel plate. When the trigger was pulled, the flint would strike the steel plate and set off a small explosion that would send the projectile straight to the moon. They'll learn those carpet-bagging Yankees. Those were the early kinds of firearms. As you could tell from this complex diagram, it sure was a hassle trying to fire those cotton picket things. So a few hundred years later, around the 19th century, something called a repeater was invented, which allowed rapid fire and ease of use. There are various kinds of repeater mechanisms and gizmos used for guns, but we'll focus on the pump action. It was a dandy invention that allowed the unused shotgun shells to be stored in the magazine. That's the barrel underneath the main barrel for all those not gun savvy. You slide the shells into a spring loader that forced the shells into the magazine, and when you use the pump action, it sent the shells into the barrel. After firing the gun, you pumped again and sent that shell flying while loading another one into the chamber. Now ain't that efficiency? Now I'm gonna show you how to assemble a pump action shotgun. It ain't too difficult. Well, even a complete jackass can figure out how to assemble a gun nowadays. First you take the forestock and place the bolt on the end of the arms. Then you slide it on the length of the magazine. There are two pins inside the chamber of the gun which must be pushed back to allow the forestock to fit. Then, you place the trigger in its appropriate spot and lock it in place with pins. Sometimes a hammer is required. The final step is to insert the barrel. Simply pull out the forestock and insert the barrel. And screw on the end. Well, there you have it, a fully assembled pump-action shotgun. Now don't you feel special? While the pump-action was a dandy little invention, there was a problem with it. It was just too darn complex. There were so many moving parts that there was a likely chance that it would jam. So, another solution was needed, and that's where the double-barreled shotgun comes in. The double-barrel shotgun is a simple piece of engineering that really only has three major parts. There is the stock, the force stock, and the barrel, or in this case, double barrel. All you need to do is simply insert the barrel into the stock, and then apply the force stock. And there you have it, a fully assembled double-barreled shotgun. Now, of course, there are lots of different kinds of guns which I haven't even begun to touch. But these are personally old Carl Gage's favorite kinds of weapons.